Welcome to episode 343 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we get the raw paw and the raw bone in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
Yeah, dude, I make a point to not read your introduction pieces here, but we're going to be playing some Cubivore, Survival of the Fittest.
Nobody's going to understand that one because
nobody's
played Cubivore.
Maybe somebody got the raw bone and was like, oh, yeah, okay, Cubivore. But what else are we talking about this week?
So this week, Pokemon setting all new records all over again. Then Microsoft maybe conceding the console wars. And then, we'll close it out with that inflation deflation.
Yep, pretty raw inflation deflation. So you can also find us on thegamedeflators.com. You can find us on X at Game Deflators and on Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. I mixed it up this time, but you can find us there on at the Game Deflators. We're also on YouTube. Hit the little bell so you know we're on. You can watch all my crappy playthroughs while I fall asleep, as well as all old episodes and content that we have on there. What else? We're on a podcast. We run a podcast. It's always been a podcast first and foremost. So like, subscribe, comments, leave us a 5-star review, 10-star review on all those podcast applications, and show us some love on there. All right, pickups. Sir, I finally got it.
Nice.
Dokapon Kingdom Connect on the Nintendo Switch. So, I don't know, my wife and I were having a conversation about Mario Party, and she was saying, I can't wait till our son is older, and we can play Mario Party with him, and he can hate us. I was like, well, it would make him hate us more. Dokapon Kingdom. And so I picked up Dokapon Kingdom. So that was my big pickup. Actually,
I've never made it all the way through a game of Dokapon Kingdom. I've started several, but it's brutal, and it's long.
I spent hours with some friends when I lived in Florida. Right after college, we were playing, like me, this guy I knew, and his at the time girlfriend, later on wife, and we played for, I don't know, several weeks. They would come over and play, and we just never got through it, but it was such a blast when we did. So it's one of those things that when my kid is older, I do intend on hopefully instilling some of that, like, regular, hey, it's time to game. We're going to play
this old school gaming time.
Hey, it's a Switch.
Let's
it's not going to be that bad.
This is called a cartridge. You blow into it. It doesn't really do anything, but it makes you think it does.
I'm just thinking about
you don't see kids blowing on their Switch chips.
No, but they're licking them and then realizing that tastes nasty. Which I tried, by the way. I was kind of curious because they say, like,
how would you rate it?
Nasty. It's bitter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bitter. But go lick one. Yeah, it's deflated. Go lick one of your Switch cartridges. You tell me. It's not the best tasting thing in the world.
You should do a taste test. You should see which game tastes the worst.
I think they all taste equally bad. Like, they're probably not very good. All right, Magic. I got Fierce Guardianship for my my deck, and this one is, if you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. It's a 3-drop. So you can either 3-drop it, or if you control a commander, it's 0, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So the commander deck is pretty much done. Let me see how many. I got 3 sleeves here. One of these is dedicated to a tropical island. The other 2, I have no idea. I got to look at the list that I have.
You know, see what you can. Maybe there's some cool Final Fantasy card you could put in there.
Hey, I got a box coming in June. So
there's actually, I was looking at, the professor was doing his secret layer alert thing, and there's some cool Final Fantasy secret layers coming. But I think they're going to be, probably really hard to get, but like maybe one of the individuals is like, I think one of them's like some good reprint or something that's like its first reprint. So maybe that'll bring something cool down in price that you could fit in there too. Who knows?
Maybe we'll see. Funny enough,
I watch all this Magic content. I don't have the breadth of knowledge to like be like, oh wow, that card's probably gonna come. I've never heard that card before. Ever.
Yeah. I do want to get, I haven't gotten it yet, but I do want to get a copy of Survival of the Fittest. It's a Magic card, coincidentally. It's like a 2-green tutor that you can just pull any creature. So yeah, I do need to get one of those at some point. It's like 150, I think, for that one. And then the tropical island's like 300, 350. So I was going to get Survival of the Fittest, but I was like, I'll get a box of the, Magic Gathering for Final Fantasy and just mess with that. So I did buy a box of that with my credit card money, my 3% cash back. It always comes in handy. So that's what I did with that one. And that's actually how I picked up like Fierce Guardianship and a few other things. So,
nice.
I'm using reward money. I figure use a credit card, pay it off. It's all going to come out of the same account at the end of the day, right? I could pay gas on my bank debit, or I could pay on my credit card and pay off my debit afterwards. It's whatever.
This is not financial advice, but it is a good idea.
I mean, it's all out of the same pool. It's the same account, same everything. So it doesn't really hurt me in any respect. I'm going to be spending, if I got to buy groceries, I got to buy groceries. I might as well get money back when I buy my groceries. So yeah. And it helps my credit score. So it kind of works out too. So, all right. So outside of that card, do I have anything else on my desk? Actually in my computer. So the saga of my NAS hard drives continued. I don't know if I mentioned that I was testing hard drives for 14 to 18 hours each day. And so I was having issues getting, so I returned a hard drive, right? And I bought 2 others. I think I had already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 2 14 terabyte drives, installed them in my NAS. They're 12.7 terabytes a piece now, right? For the NAS itself. So I've spent a lot of money on hard drives apparently, but it's all good. I've got backups and everything. Like if shit hits the fan on my computer, I've got all of our Game Deflators content will be backed up. Like I'm in a solid space with that. But what ended up happening is I bought 2 hard drives and I had them come in. I was like, well, I got to test these things first to make sure they're good. So I ran surface tests on them. And they, one of them was great. I was like, cool. Ran surface tests on the other one. Had like 18 bad sectors. Bad sectors in a hard drive aren't exactly the end of the world. The computer or the hard drive normally just kind of redistribute good sectors over it, kind of put them in the back and doesn't use them. But the listing said 0 hours, 0 bad sectors. So I was like, I want 0 bad sectors. So I went ahead and picked up a new hard drive, got them in the NAS. Currently transferring a ton of Game Deflators content and other stuff on my backups, as well as my attached storage. So yeah, we're in a good spot, the Game Deflators, in terms of our backups. But it has been a journey, Ryan, and it is almost there. In fact, how many files do I have? Because I'm transferring like other crap that I've got too. I have almost 6,000 files remaining to transfer.
Gosh.
Yeah. So a lot of crap that we've done over the years. And as far as I'm
glad this is all in your hands, John.
Yeah. Hey, you said you were bad at technology, so
yes.
Yeah. If it was you, your house probably would have burned down with the hard drives.
Yes.
They're like, we recommend holding them inside an external storage device or whatever at, I think it was like 60 degrees Celsius, which is, I want to say like 130 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number. Now I want to do it because one of our overseas people will be like, you Americans in your Fahrenheit, 60 Celsius to Fahrenheit is 140. I was awfully close, actually. So yeah, I mean, it gets hot. Like this room, I came in this morning because I had one hard drive mirroring to another hard drive, and then I had another hard drive syncing with my NAS. And so basically had 4 hard drives running all night, plus the monitors going. So yeah, this room was toasty.
How often does it have to do all that? Like,
we're
not doing that much stuff.
Well, no, I have personal files and I've got Game Deflators files. Like I've got everything you can think of on my computer is being synced into these 2 hard drives. Yeah. So it came out to like,
you got to work around the clock.
Yeah. So, but it's just one time. So once it's mirrored the one time, my plan is if I ever have like new files, I'll just go ahead and make sure that like I sync it appropriately with, on a regular basis, basically for one of them. And then the NAS system and the main hard drives, the way it should theoretically work is whenever they're both on and I turn on my computer, the system will automatically say, okay, cool. This file changed. It now needs to sync into this system automatically. So that's the overall goal. Yeah. So it basically auto updates for me. That's what's it's supposed to. But as far as games I'm playing, Fantasian, Neo Dimension still, I am at the 42-hour mark, and I got the ultimate weapon for main character Leo. All my other characters have decent weapons. I have been going through the different elemental challenges to pick up and unlock certain things. So today I'll be fighting like the Earth Elemental and trying to take that on to be able to unlock another part of like the sphere grid for my characters. Unlocked another new character, so I got the character Tan, who has like this beast.
Tan's my favorite Queer Eye.
I don't know if he's Queer Eye in this one. Yeah, I don't think he is in this one. But he has like this beast that is with him, and he actually takes HP when he does hits. So he's pretty cool. I'm not going to use him now because he's like level 40, and I'm level 55 for most of my characters. I should have picked him up a long time ago. So I finally just happened to go to the area where he was at for his story, and then he got integrated into the party.
Oh, okay.
But I played 3 hours yesterday. So
nice. That's a good chunk.
Yeah, it was a pretty good chunk. I was awake for all of it, which was fantastic. I honestly think I can get through to the final battle. So after I finish the Nameless Island, which is part of Tan's what he's doing, I'm gonna hit the Earth battle, see how I do in that, and then after that, I will make my way to the final area and see how far I can progress into that to try and complete it. But the cool thing about this game, and one thing that I'm not a fan of at the same time, is it's not linear, right? So you're not following a pretty concrete story for all your characters and going through it. They're more side quests. So the Tan storyline, I could have completely missed that character and not gotten him at all. There is a Cheryl storyline with like the Royal Capital. I could completely skip that and not unlock anything else in her grid. So that's, it in a way, if you want to get the full story, you have to do the side quests to get the full story. And it is what it is. So I'm going to try and complete it though without getting all of the storyline components in, just to finish it up and then move on to Castlevania, and then Witcher will be following that. I need to get onto Witcher because it is going to bite me in the ass if I do not get started on that game at least in July.
You better get on it.
Yep, for sure. All right, how about you?
So no pickups this week, nothing new. I've been playing a little bit more Risk of Rain 2. Oops, sorry, that's a part of my thing too. Risk of Rain 2 is awesome. I've been unlocking more characters. I actually beat my first like solo run using the Artificer on my first try with that character. They were pretty cool. And I also so each character that you unlock, they've got like 3 attacks and some kind of like movement ability, which can do damage sometimes depending on what it is, or each character kind of has their own kit. And then there's certain challenges that you can do for them to unlock different abilities so that you can kind of customize their kit a little bit. I managed to do like 3 of the challenges for that character on that run also. And usually those are things you kind of got to try for. I also tried to do a run with the Bandit, and they have this like slash attack that can put like a special bleed status on. And so one of the challenges is to like kill an enemy with 20 stacks of bleed. But it gets pretty chaotic. Like even when you're fighting a boss, there's a bunch of other guys running around, and like the bleed damage will tick down, and you're also supposed to just get 20, not like apply as many as you can until they die. Like it wants you to kill it with 20. So you got to get like all of this like item that gives you extra like secondary attacks. I mean, it's a lot easier to do when you have the artifact that lets you just pick your items instead of getting random drops. So that kind of, I guess that makes any challenge a lot easier because you just do optimum builds every time. But I'm really starting to get a feel for like, all right, what kind of items do I want to stack? Like, how is that going to interact with this character's kit? Like, do I want to go for crit for this? Or, is this like a better option? And you still get a lot of randomness where it's like, how many of this rarity item are you going to get? Like, I was doing a run with my friend trying to unlock a thing like a week ago, and I got 3 red rare items, which are like, usually you might find 1 on a run. I got 3 of them.
Oh, nice.
So I had like plus 400% crit. And I still was not unlocking this like challenge that I was trying to do, that they were like, oh, you should only need like these items to get through it. So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm blasting this game. But I am also playing on like an easier difficulty.
Yeah.
So each character also has like a different skin you can unlock, but you have to beat it on like a harder difficulty mode. So if I keep playing more of this, I might get to the point, or like once I have time to get on with Tony and Kyle again, maybe the three of us could try tackling like a monsoon together or something. And then I did get a little bit more time to play some Clair Obscur this week, just a few hours. But the area that I'm in, I was running around and I found so much like items, and you have I think I mentioned before, like Estus Flask kind of healing. So like in battle, the only items you have like revive, give your character some like points so that they can do, a better, more attacks or whatever, and then heal.
Yeah.
But each of those is on like an Estus until you go to like rest at a camp. And then you have like an overall like heal your whole party outside of battle that you get like a few of. So I got like a bunch of those. I got a bunch more of the like equips, which are called pictos. They're like your abilities, and then once you master those abilities, then you can equip them as luminous or lumens or something like that. So like every time you get one, you basically want to equip it right away, because once you finish 4 battles with it, you master it, and then you can equip it the other way. But it just means you're constantly going in and having to like rework people's builds and stuff. And so I don't know, I hadn't played in like a week, maybe week and a half, maybe longer. I think it was only that long though.
Yeah.
But it had been a while, and I spent like half the time I was playing just in menus. So it was not like I didn't get very much like distance. Like my wife's all excited to talk to me because she's further than I am, and I'm like, no, I basically spent like an hour and a half in menus and then did a bunch of battles, so I didn't like even reach another cutscene or campsite like scene or anything. So it's just kind of one of those where it's a little slow rolling for me through that now, but I did at least get some more time in it. And then I have been obsessed with something that I've had for a while, but I just wanted to kind of check it out again. Digimon.
Oh,
There's my guy. He's got a little poop.
nice.
Yeah, so I've been playing my little Digimon guy the past couple of days and been having a lot of fun with it. Been doing a bunch of research online. There's some like great websites that have like, here's what everything does. Here's like how to do all the evolution lines. I haven't gotten anything past like a level stage 3 yet, but my Agumon should evolve into like a Greymon today, I think. So I'm looking forward to that for the first time.
How long have you had that?
I got this like a while ago. So this is they made these like 20th anniversary remake ones. So the original series back in the day, I had one, and I think it looked like this, but I don't know. A video I was watching earlier, I didn't see this was a color that was available then, so maybe mine was different. But each one of those only had like one egg on it. These 20th edition ones, they're like $20 or less on Amazon, and they've got all of the original series eggs, plus each one has like its own special one that's on there. But there's so many different types. There's actually like a really cool like color one with like a Godzilla crossover that's coming out this year. The like Digimon season 3 like type of Digivice, or season 2 type of Digivice. I think it's the season 2 type of Digivice, which was like I had one of those when I was a kid too. But that's going to be like a full color one. There's all different kinds. So I've been doing a lot of YouTube rabbit holing on different Digivices, and actually I think I found one that I would like to purchase, which is like it's the Digivice X, and it's the Asmaria version. It's super cool looking. It's all like painted up and has like really cool art on it. It's a color one, and it's got like a whole bunch of extra layers. Like this one's pretty simple. That one has like a quest mode and like a lot more kind of depth to how it works.
Yeah.
But it's also not like there's this other ones that are the pendulum style, which you have to like shake. I don't want to be like shaking it. And then there's these other ones that are like a bracelet, which I had actually looked into a long time ago, and I had it kind of floating around on like an Amazon wish list, but they're actually like a lot thicker than you would expect it to be.
The
So
bracelet
it would
itself.
be, yeah, it would be a little bit weird, and it's like, I don't know. It doesn't work the same way. It's mostly just like tracking your steps and stuff. So this has been a lot of fun. If anybody liked Digimon or Tamagotchis or is interested, like they're having a pretty cool resurgence right now, it seems like. So
A lot
I've
of
been
it
having
is,
fun checking that out.
yeah, a lot of it is games and card games and such, and shows have had resurgences here in the last, 5 years or so. I think,
Dude, it makes me want to get like older stuff again, like Tiger Electronics. You remember those? Like
yeah, they did a
it's kind of like
re-release.
scoring LCD screen games.
Yeah, they had a re-release like 4 or 5 years ago for
Oh
those,
my
like the
god.
olds. Yeah. You could
I
get them
want to get
brand new
like
in the
one of the
store.
classic Power Ranger ones. I think
Yeah,
that's the one I had.
I used to have Mortal Kombat, Lion King, and I think Power Rangers as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to have some back in the day. Oh,
Those were
Sonic.
crazy.
Sonic was another one that I had.
Sonic, yeah, I remember the Sonic ones. I didn't have
Yep.
one of those, but somebody I knew did, I think. And
Yep.
you're always like, "Oh, it's like, oh, but it's not like really a game. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a fake game."
Yeah, I know. I remember just being a kid and being like, man, this is so frustrating. Like, I want to get home and play my real game. It's just how
Yeah.
it always was. Yeah.
It was good in the car.
Well,
It was a good
and
car thing.
debatable, but yeah, it was. I mean, because it was just like the little black squares and like,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
So,
God, that had been like 5 or 6 back then when those came out.
yeah, it was like a youthful thing, very youthful.
Yep.
The last thing, I guess this is kind of a pickup. So I've been having the worst luck at Pokemon, and we've got an article we're going to be talking about Pokemon Pocket TCG. So this is a good segue into that. But been having terrible pulls with the latest set. In I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago, in a 24-hour period, I got both crown rares and like the 2-star rainbow border Soul Galeo. Like I've been pulling Soul Galeo like at least 80% out of this set and have not gotten a single one up until then. Like I still don't have just the standard one.
Mm.
And it's like I feel like every time in a set now, it's like, I can make maybe 1 or 2 decks, but I'm barred from being able to make a lot of the others, like no Decidueyes, so I can't make like a Decidueye deck. No Wishy-Washy, can't make the Wishy-Washy deck. So there's just like certain ones that I'm just like always missing out on, and usually they're just like the 4 diamond or the 3 diamond, and just like these little holes that I can't quite plug. And then the next set's already coming out next week. So I'm going to get like a week with this kind of deck, and then I'll already be chasing the next cards. I really haven't gone back very much and spent like points though, like the pack points. I'm hoping that if I just diamond hands long enough, eventually in the future, once they go to like cycle out Genetic Apex as like cards, they'll be like, all right, well, we got to do something with pack points now.
Yeah.
So like if they just pool them all together where it's like all your packs just give you pack points, and that lets you pick any card from any set, which would make fucking sense. Like then we could get good stuff, and that would be sweet, because then it's like, okay, now I could get that really cool art card, from that one set that I wanted. Like all of a sudden this card makes, this card from this past set really good, and I want like I want a pair of matching gold Pokeballs or something, like there's all kinds of reasons that you could want to do that. And I think it still is very fair, because you're not getting any more pack points, you're just getting a better distribution of them.
Yeah, that's where Magic Arena is far superior. I mean, you get full-blown, every pack has normal cards like you normally would. You got freebies that come through. You get ranking points, and you get regular points as well that you can use to expand your collection. So that way, if you're missing one card, you can say, oh, okay, well, I can use, however many of my wild cards to be able to get extras, right? But like you only have so many, and it's based on how many packs you open, and you can only get packs when you play. So, I think that for Pokemon TCG Pocket, it's a money, like a cash grab. I mean, that's the full focus I went on this, right? Like, let's make as much money as we can, and let's make things inconvenient so people have to spend money to get the best stuff. And ultimately that's why I stopped playing it. I was similar to you. I was having terrible luck on all my pulls. And it's like, oh, the next set comes out. Well, I had pulled dog shit the last set. So now I'm going to have another set that I can't use pack points for to build it. So I can never keep up with battling. So I'm going to have to spend money. No, I'm not.
I mean, a lot of the battling stuff though is still like, I don't know, older sets have like still like Giratina and Darkrai still are like really good. I mean, there's a lot of things that are kind of like having the Oricorio now, like really stops a lot of those EX decks from just like going off. But now we're getting like Ultra Beasts, which are going to have their own mechanics and stuff. I think the game is starting to get like to the point now where there's enough things that the pool is pretty broad to be able to kind of like choose from, and like still be able to like yeah, but like you're gonna have access like across all of that. You're gonna have access to enough stuff to be able to make some kind of deck. Like you could make a Greninja Magnezone deck and probably do pretty good with it because those are just two really good cards.
Yeah, but you know how I am, man. I'm competitive, so when I'm playing a deck, it's got to be like best deck I can play, right? So
and this game doesn't really facilitate a good way to do that. Nope. I mean, you do get access to trading once the next set comes out, so you can play like the best decks from the last set, and those are still usually pretty competitive.
Yeah, but it's one of those like you got to spend money to be successful in this type of game.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like I have done the monthly, premium membership like at least 2 or 3 times now. Yeah, but I haven't done it every month since it came out. So, I mean, I have spent money and that has given me a lot more pulls to try to be able to get stuff. But I mean, like this time it didn't really pay off. Like I was so excited for like some of the cards I saw on this. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it again this month. And I just was realizing today it's like coming up towards the end of the month. Oh, so I got to cancel that membership soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I only had mine 2 months. I think I spent on it, but yeah. But talking about Pokemon money, so Pokemon TCG Pocket has surpassed $1 billion in just over 200 days, so 204 to be exact. And this comes to us from PocketGamer.biz. So
yeah, this is like, I don't know. My wife was talking to me, or I was talking to her about the TCG Pocket the other night when I got those pulls, and she was like, "Is that doing better than Pokemon Go did?" And I was like, "No way." And I looked it up and I found this article, and it was just like happened to be, I looked it up on the right day when like the news was like kind of coming out, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Like, yeah, that's insane that it did better. And I think it's just because it's less visible. That's why I didn't feel that way. Like when Pokemon Go came out, like you went to the park and so did everybody else. Like you could see the people playing that game. So it was like a lot more like, oh my God, it's like in the commercial, like everyone in New York is attacking Mewtwo. Dude, like, it's really happening.
We did raid parties out in Chandler. We would, all get in our cars and okay, hey, let's go to the next stop. And then people would say, oh yeah, there's a, this particular location has like a Mewtwo.
You'd see people run across the like park to go over to the corner when something would pop up. It was so cool. But like, this doesn't surprise me at all. Like, especially how much more news I've seen lately about how crazy it gets with like the scalpers fighting at the Pokemon vending machines, because those Pokemon vending machines are like everywhere now, and they're always sold out because they're getting camped by these like people that just want to ruin everybody's childhood so that they can make a quick fucking buck, because I don't know, that's the best they can do, I guess.
I saw a funny video the other day of this guy, and it's like, yeah, I couldn't get past scalpers and picking up all the Pokemon cards, so I got I got a job at a game shop. And he's like unwrapping the box of Pokemon. He's like, now I have it all.
Yeah. So it's like, it's super unfortunate, but like seeing how chaotic that is and how hard it is to get a hold of real Pokemon cards, it doesn't surprise me that this game would be doing so well because there's
Mhm.
so many people that want that experience and it's out of reach. And this is a way that they can kind of just get that without any, any inhibitions, nothing really getting in their way except for their own pocket.
Yeah. Well, I guess for me, just looking at it, it does look like it's lost a lot of popularity in a sense, right? Like when you kind of think about it, yeah, it's a billion, but the first 240 or 250 million dollars of that billion was in the first 30 days. So the remaining, 174-day period that's happened afterwards, they've made their 750 million. Not, playing it down in any respect, but it's very clear that like it's leveled out now to where, and even in a somewhat of a downward trend, where they are financially at this game, it's still making millions of dollars. So like, nothing against that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly not where it was within the first like couple months of coming out.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I
and
think a
that's the
lot of it's
crazy thing is
yeah, I think
how high that was that first month, like that
yeah.
huge surge. And like a lot of those people, probably have left the game, but there's probably a
Mhm.
lot of people that, they play a game, they'll spend $20 on it. And then, they'll come back and revisit when a new set comes out and be pretty casual with it. There's a lot of people that only collect Pokemon cards in real life and they
Mhm.
don't play the battling aspect of it at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, some of those people are going to be well serviced by just being able to come back monthly and be able to just pull cards without worrying about having to be competitive or making those best decks. They're really just hoping to get the cool art.
Yeah, but unfortunately, if you're a collector, you do have to do the battling because some things are only available when you do a certain amount of battles, you get promo packs and things of that nature. So, in fact, I think they're going to be. I think this article had mentioned they're
Well,
going
I
to be
mean, there's a
doing.
lot less like, you know, standing between you and doing a bunch of solo battles.
Yeah,
Because you could just put that
um,
on auto, and over time, you'll just accumulate enough wins to get whatever you need.
yeah, but then there's also like I think there's a Rayquaza or something that is going to be 50 battles won, and I think it has to be like one-to-one battles of other people.
Oh, does it?
And yeah, I'm
I
pretty
haven't
sure it's
even
that.
looked to see what my progress is on that.
Yeah,
I've been
so
doing a very few actual like active battles. I mean, it's a cool looking Rayquaza, but I'm never gonna use it probably. So like,
but
I'll
that's
still try to pick it up, but I might have
yeah.
to get on that soon. Actually, if there's only a few days left.
Yeah, that's the point on like a collector's standpoint, right? Like if you're wanting to collect certain cards, well, you have to battle, right? And so to battle, you have to have a competitive deck sometimes to be able to string enough battles in a row one. So that's really what kind of pulled me away from it overall. Um,
Hmm.
was that aspect, right? It was just a little too much needed for that game. It wasn't as like free friendly, I guess you could say.
Well,
Um,
I will be excited to see. I've heard. I don't know if I mentioned on here, but I heard that they're making a Digimon kind of like equivalent of TCG, and I hear the Digimon card game actually has some really cool different mechanics to it. So I'm interested to see how that translates. There's actually like a mobile teach you how to play the Digimon card game app,
mhm.
but it's pretty limited. I don't know. I've just kind of started playing some of the tutorial on it. I haven't gotten to the point where it lets me just like kind of do the thing, but I don't think it's like a robust app for actually playing the game. I think it's just kind of like a two example decks and a tutorial system.
Gotcha. Well, moving on into the non-TCG space, or I guess TCG Pocket space. So the writing is on the wall, and basically there is a gaming insider that thinks Xbox's next console will be its last, and this comes to us from PC Gamer. So they had an interview with Insider Gaming's chief editor Tom Henderson, and his comments are pretty much, what we're all kind of figuring, right? Microsoft has become a big third-party publisher at this point in time. Their games are being distributed everywhere. Their next console will more than likely be their last. Microsoft has already kind of noted, hey, we're going to have a console in market, or they're planning it. They're planning their next console. I'm still along the lines of I think this one is their last. I think that they could have some, with the current success they're seeing and more than likely future success, plus the increase in cost to be able to develop these consoles down the road, Microsoft being a predominantly, and really they are a software company at the end of the day, and they've done this historically with hardware. I could see them pulling the plug on the next generation and just saying, you know what, it's too expensive. We're already in the process of losing money for every console sold. Let's just go ahead and develop these games as the Xbox brand and put it out there and take the Sega approach.
I beg to differ. I think that they actually stand to have like a decent enough shot at one more bite at the apple here, purely because they're going to do either a hybrid or a portable, I don't know, maybe like a split release, like how they did for this generation, where they had, the higher ticket, here's the full console, and then something a little bit more subpar at a more reasonable price point. Because I think that they did have enough, like, I think they've had more success with the Series S than the X because of its affordability, and because it's like, it's a good box if you just want to have Game Pass, and that's what I've used it for, and it served me well. Yeah. So I think that going with the portability, there's so much market for that. And it's very competitive right now because there's a lot of different people in that space. But we say that the majority of those are a little bit too niche or a little bit too expensive to be like as ubiquitous as it could be. And I think Microsoft really has the best chance to try to strike at that market, because they can take all of the high powered end units that use like the basic Windows now that isn't adapted. They can make their own Microsoft interface that's going to be like, the big picture mode equivalent, that's going to make this operate well and a very good for the end user without having to monkey around with it as much. And so it'll also give them a chance to say, hey, this is an Xbox, all your Xbox mainstream stuff can be on here, because there is a big portion of people that are interested in those type of games and aren't necessarily, wanting a Steam Deck to play all their like indie titles and, bring over their Steam library and have to optimize all the settings to be able to, make the game work on the thing. Mm-hmm. Also, the Steam Deck is a few years old now, and some of the new games are not going to be able to operate on there as well, moving forward as things keep getting better. So I think they're kind of in a place where it's like they can hit a newer technology after the biggest competition is kind of behind. They can optimize the interface in a way that none of the other competition really can, because they are Windows. And because if they are going to bow out after the console, like if they don't make it big enough, cool, we can sell that operating system to everybody anyways. We've already done that R&D. It's done. They'll put it in every Lenovo device moving forward instead, and they'll just pay us a licensing, so we'll get our return on that. But if they are like, hey, we're underselling everybody by a couple $100, people are wanting to play, Game Pass on this thing wherever they go, they could make it work. So I think at least one more chance is worth it for them.
Their only problem, Ryan, is, well, this is an Xbox.
Yeah.
This is an Xbox.
They're their own competition.
An Xbox. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, if all of those things are going to be an Xbox, they need to get better at making all of those screens an Xbox. So they might as well have their own that they can optimize for. And then, just plug it out further from there, because like all of those clouds, that's all still like beta. Like it all still says beta when you launch it. Like on your phone, there's not like, or I mean, I guess it's been a little bit since I did it, but it used to be like I would have to go to like a website to launch the Xbox cloud service. Like it wasn't an app on my phone. It might be now since that campaign. I guess I haven't really tried since then, I don't think.
So, right now we ask the question of, can it play Doom? In about 10 years, it'll be, can it play Xbox?
Can it play the Master Chief Collection?
Can't play Master Chief Collection.
Well, and that's going to start coming out everywhere too. Like that is the other thing, the other flip of this article is that they've seen wild success porting their stuff over. Like all these PlayStation people want to play these Xbox games, and all these Nintendo people are going to want to play these Xbox games too, because Xbox has a good suite of studios. They've made a lot of smart acquisitions, and I think that even if they haven't, Senua's Sacrifice was not. Is that the second one, or is that what's the second one?
I don't know. Hellblade 2. I forgot.
Hellblade 2.
I forget the
whatever
name.
So Hellblade 2 was not as like crazy, blowing everybody out of the water like it was kind of expected. Like they put a lot of marketing into that, and they spent a lot of time and money on it, and like, oh man, the trailers looked really good, but then once it came out, it really didn't ring super well for a lot of people. But it's still like a really cool thing that got made because they had this huge budget behind it. And being able to bring that over to other platforms where people will be able to appreciate it, instead of it just being like, oh, the Xbox people, they didn't really go crazy for it, so I'm never even going to really seek that out or try to do it. Like if you see it on Switch 2 on sale for $20 one day, that would be a cool thing for that studio to be able to get that out to 100 million more Switch 2 users.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess time will tell, right? Do they pull the plug on the next generation? Do they make it a hybrid? Do they go home console again? Do they jump out of gaming entirely? I doubt that will ever happen, but I think, there's a lot of possibilities that can happen down the road here. So.
Well, one possibility is that they eat the competition, devour their meats, and evolve.
With raw bone.
So this week we played Cubivore. Cubivore is a very weird, very expensive GameCube game.
Cubivore.
I don't know, man. This was a wild one.
Yeah, it was developed by Sato Brune Intelligent Systems, published by Atlas here in the US. It was designed by Gonto Matsumoto and Gaban Ito. It was released in November of 2002. It is an action-adventure game / RPG elements thrown into there. And it had an overall reception of 7 out of 10. But Ryan, tell us why it is so weird.
So the wilderness has been lost to the colorless cubivores. You start small and eat your way up the food chain, mating and producing stronger offspring in a very square take on life. This is kind of a generational life sim action RPG weird mishmash of
Spore. It reminded me of Spore, the concept.
Yeah, in a weird way. So I don't know if I'm assuming we both started as a pig, right? I think you just start as a pig.
Yeah, you just start as a pig, it looks like.
So you start as a pig, and you're just like a little square pig head, and then you go around, you eat some grass, you're in this like very kind of like primitive Minecraft sort of looking environment where everything's like blocky, but you're not like digging or anything. You just kind of move around, you can hop, you can defend yourself. You have to attack other cube being things, and
Cubivores.
They have like cubivores. So you have like your cube head, and then you'll get like a flappy, like just square, it looks like you have a little door hanging off your cube, and depending on what the color of the other cubivore that you eat, it will put your flappy somewhere else, and that kind of gives you a certain type of bonus. Like one cubivore can leap further, one can like run backwards really fast and turn around quickly. So they each have like their own weird unique things, but every time you eat like a meat of a different color, you evolve. And every time you kind of go through a generation, you get like another like flappy part. So like I had 2 flappy parts, and I was just about to go mate for a third time so that I could get a third flappy part. Yeah,
flappy flaps and foley folds.
Yeah, exactly. The Terry folds. So you're hopping around, you're eating monsters or these other cubivores. You can't go. So in the environment, there are like white areas that are devoid of wilderness. They're just like clean, empty space. But you can't traverse that until you eat these weird silver bugs, which are just bugs are basically just folded over versions of the square flaps.
I think they're wilder bugs.
Wilder bugs, yeah. So you got to eat like so many of those, and then it'll like kind of open up areas. There's like little challenge things that you'll do to kind of increase stats. Your stats are like you get horn points and hump points and things that are like your health and your attack. There's like a boss kind of on each level, seemingly. The first level you get the raw paw. And the desire to mate. The second level, you get the raw bone,
and also
which will let you run and get the desire to mate. Every time you kill like the big boss, you're like, it's mating time, and you move on. So, from what I was reading, it seems like it takes a while to kind of be able to like challenge the boss and kind of like get somewhere in the game. It mostly just kind of starts off as the survival, but
yeah. So the overall concept on the survival component is that as you continue to take on these other cubivores and eat them, right, you get to a certain point, but you'll come across a boss that you can't beat them. So the idea is you have to mate to be able to get a new genetic offspring that maintains certain abilities, which will allow you to then level up and beat that boss. And then so you kind of just continue through and you can keep X amount of offspring. You also, as you eat certain cubivores, if you get a trait that you don't desire, you can actually expel that trait. I forget what they call it. It's like poo something. I don't remember.
Oh, but I didn't see that part.
Yeah, so you're able to do that. The idea is to beat the killer cubivore, which is the one that's kind of destroyed the wilderness. And so by continuing to mate and pick up various traits and continue your lineage of different cubivores, you get to a point where you're able to take on the killer cubivore and eventually kill the killer cubivore, and of course bring the wilderness back. But it takes like 100 genetic mutations to be able to do that.
God.
Yeah, so it's like 100 mutations through all the levels. And I do like how the game kind of puts in the sense of like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the next level and maybe I'll mate type of thing. So it's like very much just like break the fourth wall type of approach with it.
The writing is very like weird. I kind of dig it because it is really weird, but definitely whoever did the translations here either took some liberties or this was just a weird game. But it's
just a weird ass game, dude. Yeah, it's a weird game, but gameplay wise, like, it felt okay.
Yeah, I didn't mind it actually. Like this was kind of like, this is one that I think would be kind of fun to just kind of mess around with, like on my phone or something. Like it's not a game that would fill my full attention, but I would like to see kind of where things go. It kind of reminds me of like a primitive, like, I don't know, what's that, like Viva Pinata or the Bug Snacks, kind of one of those games where it's just kind of like, I don't know, you can't quite pin it as being like a specific thing. It's just kind of got its own kind of vibe, and it's also very GameCube. I don't know, a lot of these games we've been playing just have that like GameCube-ness.
I think
this one's maybe just because it's very square.
I think this was originally supposed to be on the N64, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I want to say that's what I had read, that it was supposed to be, originally started on the N64 and N60 or 64 DD peripheral, but later was moved to GameCube. So yeah, it was, because when I first booted up, I'm like, man, this looks like an N64 game almost. And then yeah, that makes sense. But and then like the map and the map system and all that's kind of tied to it felt like an N64 style game. But yeah, so overall, I mean, good like background music, very chill game where you can just kind of explore and mutate and battle, and it has its moments of strategy tied in, which is where like the mating comes in, the expelling certain types of traits from different cubivores you've eaten. Very cool game overall. But in terms of brass tacks here, you're looking at a game that is complete in box, $500. It peaked at $652.30, and that price is going up. I did see some listings on eBay at like $450, but I also saw listings like $800 too, for like same thing, complete in box. Loose copy will run you $255.93. That peaked at $425 in February 2022, along with every other damn game that jumped up at that point. I imagine that peak is also the same price point or time frame. That price is trending down slightly for loose copy, but I think we could probably unanimously say that this game is inflated at that price point. I mean, it's for what you're getting and what you're playing. I mean, you could buy, an Xbox S right now, Series S, and however many months of Xbox Game Pass and get far more value in that than this. This is purely, I think, shelf dressing at the end of the day, even though it's not really, right? This should be like a premier piece in somebody's collection. But yeah, I think if you're looking at it from the gaming aspect alone, definitely not worth it. If you're looking from a collecting aspect, then yeah, it might be worth picking up a copy if you really need to finish up that GameCube collection. And it's sitting at 150 off of its, top price. And looks like April 2022.
Yeah, this game was definitely nowhere near. I mean, what would you pay for this, John? Like $30?
Oh, no, I mean, like, it's not like it's a common game, Like,
no, that's the thing. Like, the only reason this is expensive is because there's probably like 10,000 copies or something.
If I was looking at this just to play it, let's just say hypothetically, you throw out the rarity and you just say, hey, it's an uncommon game. It's sometimes sitting around $70-$80, right? I'd probably pay like $30 or $40 for something like this. Like, if it was a game that was not in my collection, I thought it looked kind of cool, which it is. It's a cool looking game, but I'm not going to pay $500 for this game. Like that, in my opinion, that's just way too much. Now if I did see it like in its current rarity sitting at $300 somewhere, it might pique my attention. I mean, I'm throwing down $300 for Magic cards every now and then, so it could get my attention at that price from a collection standpoint.
Maybe one day, fancy shelf dressing.
Maybe one day, we'll see. But I got lots of fancy shelf dressing, and I pick up stuff like this, right?
Yeah,
like Dokapon Kingdom. So, I've been buying a lot more new games as of late. I haven't dove into a lot of older games because of all the re-releases and stuff. So,
I mean, your niche has always been like RPGs for the PlayStation, and I mean, you've gotten
most of them,
of that by now.
Yeah, and like I could very easily like have finished off my PlayStation RPG collection a long time ago, but I just
then you'd have nothing else.
Yeah, I'd have nothing else to look forward to. I have.
You also haven't found like a big pickup in a while.
I haven't been looking. I mean, to be honest, I have not been looking. I've been so busy with everything else in my life. Like, you want to talk big pickup? I've got a new vanity for my bathroom sitting in the garage I got to put together. So like, those are my big pickups as of late. Is
adult pickups,
pretty much. Not those type of adult pickups, but adult type pickups. So yeah, that was like
pickups, not pull-ups.
Yeah, or pull-outs, according to this game. So yeah, like that was like $1,400. I want to say for like the vanity. It's on a credit card, so I'm not going to be, like $1,400. Here it is. But I mean, that's what I'm doing for big pickups recently. Is like that and my garage shelving and the painting and all that type of stuff. So
homeowner
stuff. And, if I can spend $40, $50 on a quick game, I'll do it. I don't mind. But yeah, it's just kind of like when I look at a game like that, that's $500, like that's a payment for, credit card payment for like a big project that I'm working on. So until I'm done with those big projects, I don't know, but I necessarily need to be looking for large
Cubivores.
Yeah.
No hunting Cubivores.
I still got a crap ton of video games to sell. I actually just sold a Game Boy Advance SP recently. So
nice.
I got another one to sell. So I am periodically selling those, and I don't know, maybe there's a bunch of stuff. I probably got $500 or $600 in video game stuff that I need to sell right now. So maybe I'll do that and I'll pick up a Cubivore. We'll see.
Best of luck.
Best of luck, yes. But so our game for next week, it's a mystery to us. We don't know yet. So I try to, because we haven't pre-recorded or anything like that. I don't want to spoil who it is. But it's a collaboration. And assuming no schedule conflicts or anything like that, I'll be doing a little bit of a collaboration and hopefully get to learn our game later this week. I'm sure after, that individual hears the most recent episode, we'll see what we're playing. And hopefully it's a good one. Yeah, hopefully it's a good game. Although I feel like it's going to be a dirty game. I don't know, Ryan. Like, I got a feeling it's going to be like some naughty PS2 game that we shouldn't be playing. So,
like Leisure Suit Larry or something.
You know what? I would not put it past that person.
Why did we put that out there? Now it's going to happen.
Or Playboy of the Mansion. And I don't even have that game on PS2. I have it on Xbox. So we'll see. But all of that said, this has been episode 343 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening and watching.